Alrighty, well this is going to be what you see on your ST16 when you actually first boot it up. This is before any camera or device actually connect up to it. After they connect, your screen will look a little bit more like this. This from here on out we're going to refer to as the flight center. Not sure what the proper name is for it, but that's just what I'm going to call it for the time being. Over here on the side you're going to see your battery voltage. That is the main pack voltage for the battery inside the aircraft. Down below it, we're going to have the GPS status. So basically, it's going to say disabled, acquiring, and ready. Below that is going to be SAT, which is going to be how many satellites you are currently connected to. Down below that is going to be position, which is your actual GPS coordinates for where the aircraft is currently sitting. Altitude is going to be right below that, and that's going to be your estimated altitude above the ground. Below that is going to be your GPS speed. It will tell you how fast the craft is currently moving. And distance is below that, and that will actually tell you how far away your aircraft is from the original starting point. Then over on the other side, we have your little status indicator. Most of the time, it's going to say ready when it's ready to go, angle when flying angle mode, smart, IPS if flying indoors. Well, that's going to be the obstacle avoidance information. So we won't actually be able to enable obstacle avoidance until actually up in the air and flying, but that's going to tell you the current status of it. Green means it's working, yellow means there's an issue. Then we'll get back to the settings and all the other things there. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up system settings down here at the bottom. It's going to look a little bit like this. The first screen that pops up is going to be the bind menu. So this is where you'd actually bind your aircraft and camera. We'll get onto this in another video. So if you look to the sidebar, you can see there's bind, other settings, hardware monitor, mode select, camera select, and about controller. Other settings is going to have your measurement unit, language, advanced mode on or off. We'll get more onto that later. And then if you have the RealSense module installed. Below that is going to be your hardware monitor. This is just going to show you the position of all your switches, knobs, and all that. Below that you have your mode select. I'll link more information to this down in the description for what it actually does. Most people in America, we fly mode 2. Then below that you have your camera select. If you're just running the stock camera on the Typhoon H, it's going to be the CGO3 Pro. The other options are CGO3, which is the same minus a lot of the nice settings. CGO ET, which is the thermal camera for the Typhoon H, and the CGO4, which is an optional camera for the Tornado H920. Then below that we have the about controller settings, which is going to show your system versions for your ST16 and Typhoon H. This is also where you can update your firmware from. So if we go back to the flight center menu, we're going to go ahead and next go to channel settings. This is only going to be enabled if you have the advanced mode turned on. Most people really should stay out of this menu because it can cause a lot of issues. So I kind of recommend staying out of it. It's just for adjusting little bits and pieces. Back at the home screen, we are now going to go down to one of the last options on the bottom. It says model select. We open up here. Normally there's only going to be two options, Typhoon H, H920, well then of course the new model. I prefer to run mine on a separate model in case that way I don't have to worry about messing up the built-in Typhoon H model, so I made a separate one. If we go back to the main screen, we can click down here at this little gear, and that'll open up the camera settings menu. It's going to be a few different little settings, so for your video, if you want audio, different photo formats, video formats. It actually scrolls down a bit to get you a few more little bits. If we go back, we can click over here to the settings and calibration menu. That's where you can turn GPS on and off, switch the motor pod lights on off, set your home altitude, and also set your calibration. If you click the home altitude, it'll give you a little draggable slider that'll let you choose what height you want it to return to home at. Then below that, if you click the calibration, it'll bring up options for compass, accelerometer, and gimbal calibration. Back here at the home menu, then you can click the task and camera button. What that'll do is that'll switch you into task mode, which will give you options for curve cable cam, journey, point of interest, orbit, and takeoff mode. Normally right above it would be your follow me, watch me, but It's unavailable currently without GPS connected. So next we're going to click the little pad button at the bottom. What that does is that brings you into the regular Android menu. So it's kind of bland here, empty. Normally there's a clock by default and a different wallpaper. So if you click down here on this little button, it'll open up your apps page, which really the only useful thing on here is going to be the gallery for viewing video, and there's another way to do it, but it's not quite as good. And then your flight log. So if I go back, you can click the home button to go back. It might take a quick second for it to actually connect back up. You can click the little play button here, and that'll bring up your little previews from video that it's recorded to the ST16. So start out with a little video. You can click on it to actually watch the video. There's also an option for photos. And if you click over here, you can actually change some of these settings. So you have your white balance settings. Then you actually can change different little settings on it. Click over at the top of auto, switches it to manual, so you set your shutter speed and ISO to what you prefer it to be. And then here's a little preview. If you actually have RealSense installed, you'll know it's working properly because there will be this little curved bar at the top, and that's telling you the distance an object is away from where it's currently sitting. It's not really accurate at the current moment because I was sitting on the ground and had to go through a whole bunch to actually get it to display. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section and I'll try to answer them. Thank you.